Thank you for joining us for this session. We're excited to share with you an adaptable model of OER creation from the field of social work. I'm Anne-Marie Gruber, Liaison and Textbook Equity Librarian at the University of Northern Iowa. My pronouns are she, her. I approach this topic from my perspective as both a social work liaison librarian and as an OER librarian.
Thank you. I'm Matt DeCarlo, MSW Program Director at St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia. My pronouns are he, him. I am the co-founder of Open Social Work, a collaboratively built grassroots resource hub about all things open by and for social work educators. Designed to make open practices easier for educators to adopt and adapt, it includes a curated list of open social work textbooks, open access books from commercial and nonprofit publishers, and guidance for instructors on open education as well as open research. We co-curate these resources and will share in this presentation our progress to date and future plans, along with ideas for how the model might be adapted by other disciplines.
So why is disciplinary OER creation important? I want to be clear that we don't seek to create yet another OER repository, but rather we package metadata for OER that are already created elsewhere in ways that make sense within a given discipline. And we link out to those materials hosted in established repositories, such as the Open Textbook Library and OER Commons. We hypothesize that faculty and discipline-driven information sharing and grassroots approaches to OER curation address several key barriers to OER adoption for faculty.
So in the NASW Code of Ethics, it codifies that social workers must strive to ensure access to needed information, services, and resources. Yet, NASW and other social work organizations have no open access books, journals, or textbooks. National social work organizations view paywalled publication as sufficient for achieving that ethical imperative. And although openness is not a social work value, it is a human rights enterprise, one which requires social work educators to adopt a more anti-oppressive and community-based approach to knowledge sharing.
We know that core challenges of OER adoption include things like lack of faculty time, lack of awareness, and difficulty locating available resources. There isn't a single OER repository, and that distributed model can be overwhelming for instructors looking for materials, especially those who are new to OER. Faculty approach OER adoption in a course-specific way, often inheriting courses that fall into predictable categories mirrored by commercially available texts. This means that having a list of OER searchable by topic or course within their discipline can save faculty time. Trust really matters here, and often librarians and faculty developers encourage OER adoption, but perhaps peer recommendations could have more influence in terms of addressing lingering quality concerns. A list of materials specific to a course is perhaps going to hit the target better than seeing all the results for a keyword search in the Open Textbook Library or the Pressbooks directory. We hypothesize that having a social work specific place to see an OER list, especially one created by one of their own, a social work faculty member like Matt, may increase the likelihood of adoption. It may provide a bridge between individual colleagues in faculty's trusted networks and faceless repositories that are often new to faculty. Our list of materials follow the traditional courses taught in social work programs, including some with jargon-filled titles like Human Behavior in the Social Environment and Field Education, which perhaps only social work educators might understand. By curating OER according to common courses, we may facilitate adoption with fewer barriers.
So how does it work? Well, we both maintain and update an ongoing Google Sheet that lists social work and related open textbooks and OA books from commercial and nonprofit publishers. We include various metadata fields like the category or course that the resource falls into, title, link to preferably the Open Textbook Library, link to cover art, author, publication year, and whether it is peer-reviewed and whether it has ancillaries available. To scan for open textbooks, we search the string social work and other keywords like child welfare, human services, mental health in a variety of databases you see here. Additionally, I have a weekly email sent from the Mason OER Meta Finder that passively alerts me if there are new OER textbooks with social work in the record that are added to the databases that MOM scans. And I rely on library science and OER listservs to inform me when relevant titles are published or when social work faculty win OER grants. The number of OA books that are relevant to social work is pretty large. So I feel less secure in saying that we index every OA book in social work that's relevant. There's subjectivity into what's considered relevant enough to include in our list, particularly since faculty can choose from so many different titles. So we're hoping to add OER, which are sort of smaller than a textbook, but larger than a single resource, things like primers, manuals, workbooks, and toolkits. Additionally, we have a list of forthcoming textbooks that have been announced by grant programs or author collaboratives. And we use our MailChimp listserv to notify our user community of updates to our book list, which happen once a year. So currently, there are 69 open textbooks on the site, as well as 106 open access books. On an average day, our website receives about 54 visits. Our open textbook page is about 6 times more popular than our open access page. And almost all of our traffic is from search engines. We are the first search result if you Google or Bing open textbook social work, and we have some traffic from LibGuides as well. So we meet several times per year to update the slides or update and do site improvements. It's difficult to make time for this work, though. It's really fun to do, but it doesn't really fit into any tenure and promotion requirements for faculty, and Anne-Marie balances OER with a bajillion other responsibilities. So to streamline this workflow, we experimented or tried to explore using SheetDB, which will go from Google Sheets to WordPress. But although SheetDB is free, it requires a premium WordPress subscription to use add-ons, which is about 3 times the cost of our current subscription. And so we're committed to using cheap or free tech tools to automate as much as possible and ensure project sustainability. We do not fundraise, and there are no grants to support this kind of work to my knowledge.
So collaborative projects such as open social work hopefully offer a sustainable opportunity for disciplinary OER curation. As you see here, there are a number of similar projects in other disciplines, some from professional associations, but many are really grassroots in nature. We've shared some examples here, both large and small, without attempting to be comprehensive. Another project in social work that's of interest is the CSWE Spark, which appears to be freely available to anyone. And it really could fill a need by encouraging the sharing of Creative Commons licensed materials, which it really isn't doing currently. On the other hand, we know of at least one example of a disciplinary collection of Creative Commons licensed material that has been placed under paywalls by a professional association. So we as an open education community have some work to do in ensuring that disciplinary collections are truly free.
So at the beginning of this project, I modeled our work on eCampus Ontario's Open at Scale project, which curated OER for workforce development and affordable education in business and nursing. These are workforce development issues, and when 25% of social work students report skipping a meal due to textbook costs, it's really nice to curate this library where I not only know what the resources are that can solve that, but it's put me into contact with a lot of open educators in my discipline.
As with any open education project, we encourage you to start small. It can be as simple as a shared spreadsheet or a Google Doc or a LibGuide with titles of typical courses within a particular major or program and the open textbooks and resources that match each course. We encourage you to brainstorm ways to apply this disciplinary hub, very grassroots model to your discipline or individual context, or to get involved with existing similar grassroots projects. This also has the potential to help educators move toward more programmatic OER models, including thinking about planning for zero textbook cost programs in the future. Thanks for attending our session, and we'd be happy to take your questions.